The three reasons why I believe the United States Supreme Court is going to rule 9-0 against Donald Trump in the birthright citizenship case, based on the oral arguments that were heard today, which Donald Trump attended half of it. Reason number one is that when you peel back all of the debates, all of the discussions, I know people who aren't necessarily following this, aren't necessarily familiar with all of this. Essentially, Donald Trump is asking the Supreme Court to say that by executive order, he can do something that normally requires three-fourths vote of the states, not three-fourths votes of the Congress. Three-fourths of the states of the United States can amend the Constitution. He's saying, let me, by executive order, amend the United States Constitution. And also, let me, by executive order, overrule you, Supreme Court, who on two different occasions have affirmed birthright citizenship. Overrule Congress, which after the 14th Amendment was enacted, ratified an interpretation of the birthright citizenship rights based on British like law, British common law. So you have the Constitution of the founders, Congress, two Supreme Courts, and three-fourths of state. Let Donald Trump do that by executive order. Come on now. So that's why I say most Supreme Court justices are going to be like, nah, you can't do this. And now, for the people who say, well, they believe that Alito and Thomas are going to do it, this is why I say that's not the case, is because Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas have ruled against Donald Trump before. He's had 9-0 decisions against him since he was inaugurated in January 20th, 2025, when the Supreme Court told Donald Trump that he has to bring back Gilmar Garcia, who El Salvadorian native Maryland man who was deported. That was a 9-0 decision. When Donald Trump deported a bunch of Venezuelan men using some old archaic law without giving them due process rights to minimum, dispute the allegations, all 9 justices says you have to give those people habeas corpus rights. That's 9-0. And then also on the 5-4, the Supreme Court has ruled against Donald Trump regarding to making payments related to the USAID. They've ruled against him in tariffs. They've decided to pass on the National Guard, which meant they allow the banning of him using National Guards to militarize. So they've ruled against him, and they're going to continue to. They've been giving him procedural wins, and I know because of the affirmative action, because of Roe v. Wade, because they gave him absolute immunity, because they've been greenlighting him all summer. I understand the skepticism, but yeah. So those are the reasons. And then also I listened to the oral arguments, and they were not convinced. They were just like, okay, no. You might have heard a lot of talk about domicile. They're trying to say that the intent is related to domicile, or whether you have a you owe a commitment to another country. And so if someone is undocumented, they're born in another country, they come here, they own the commitment to another country. So therefore their children cannot get birthright citizenship, because them as a person, as a parent, is responsible or owes some sort of allegiance to their nation of origins. The Supreme Court justices were not convinced, because you're saying like that has to do with the kids, but the natural grounds, the citizenship by the ground is something that is like enshrined. And John Sauer brought up, who's the Solicitor General arguing on behalf of the Trump administration, brought up several different examples of, birth tourism, which interestingly is something that happens by Russians and Trump properties in Miami. And he brought up like a comment that someone wrote, treatises, speeches, but no law, no statute, no precedent, no court cases, no majority opinion supports anything that he's trying to do. So essentially it's flimsy basis. So based on very little evidence to support this, you're saying, can I do this, even though this is all I have, is like two cents worth of value worth of argument. And with the 2 value worth of argument, I want you to give me $1 billion worth of authority and power that is precedent, that is Supreme Court, that is British common law, that is history, that is tradition. So in exchange, you want to wipe out all that, and all I have for you is these little arguments and these comments and stuff. It's an uneven exchange. No, sir. You also might have heard, and then also there was the quotes that you might have heard where I think it was Kavanaugh said to them that essentially this, what you're asking is just kind of, they're saying what you're asking is ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. So, and even Alito was kind of like, what you're trying to do I understand the concerns, but that's something Congress can do. Like Congress can legislate. Our immigration policy can be done to target birth tourism. There's ways that we can legislatively combat birth tourism. You have the wall you're bearing. You have other ways that you can do this rather than amend the United States Constitution. So we understand abuses. Abuses happen. But the way to fix abuses is through legislation, through policy, through practice, not through amending the Constitution through executive order. His executive orders have the weight of nothing. You might have seen him do an executive order recently saying that if the federal government can do all this, so whatever he said about the mail-in ballots, all this stuff is trash. There's no legal basis for it. It's going to be challenged, and no, he has is no fruit. He's just desperate. He's just desperate because he's going to lose the Congress in November, the Senate and the House, and that has serious consequences on not just him, but his entire administration, his policy, his agenda, everything, single thing he's done. A lot of it's going to be tossed out once the Democrats win the majority and gain the chairmanship, that gain subpoena power, gain the ability to launch investigations and all sorts of stuff that comes with the majority in Congress. So he's had his trifecta, and wasted it. Even ain't wasted, but it's just like it's gone. So yeah, that's what you need to know, is that he's going to lose on that. And so those are the reasons. One, what he's asking is ridiculous. Two, they've ruled against him before. Three, the oral arguments, they were just like, mm-mm. And mm-mm. Even one quote that people are saying a lot is that when he was arguing about the birth tourism, and people like, okay, you can have all those problems, but the Constitution's still the Constitution. So, mm-mm. Mm-mm. And then also during the arguments, even conservative justices were guiding Cecilia Wang, who argued on behalf of the ACLU, like throwing her questions and ask her stuff so she can parse through it, and kind of like, like they were thinking like, this is what I'm thinking about putting my oral in the decision when we throw his executive order out. I'm thinking about using this. So what do you think about this argument? And she was like, yeah, I love that. That's the conservative justices like guiding Cecilia Wang to make some arguments, like flesh this out for me. Let me see how it's gonna work out. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm gonna take the notes. That's what it was like. They were just like, and they were like lighthearted. Also during they were laughing. It was like if I was John Sauer, I was like, at one point he got really loud. It was like, I was like, why is this man screaming? He was so loud. I was like, why is he loud? I don't know if the people who were actually there at the oral arguments noticed he had an elevation in volume. I forget what he was talking about, but I was like, this man just got really loud really quick. And it could be, as I'm talking to you, as I'm leaving this note, it could be that he was getting loud during the part when they were oh, I gotta go. He was getting loud when Donald Trump was getting up and leave and making a lot of noise. And he was trying to talk over Donald Trump, or trying to distract from the fact this man's making all this noise. I'm sure when he got up and left, it was noisy or as a big distraction. Possibly. I don't know. Anyway, so that's it. So that's my prediction. Go ahead and bet on it. If you bet on it, 9-0, and you make some money, please donate to my cause, because I'm sure not everybody's going to vote rule 9-1. Some people may, some people not, but I'm saying 9-0. So you're a betting person and you're on Poly Market or Poly Pocket or FanDuel or whatever the hell this is. Okay, I gotta go. Okay, thanks. JJ, each one teach one. Share this video some more. Let's talk below.